What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 94, I think, right?
Yeah.
Don't even say anything. As we close down on episode 99 this Saturday.
Season finale.
Yeah, oh, okay, that's fine. No numbers. So, today, we're going to go over the can opener defense. Enough of you guys have asked about it where I need to address it. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to show people the can opener. Okay? Or Enrique's going to show it. We're going to show it twice, and then we're going to move on to defense. Bulk of my students don't even know what can opener is. There's reason for that. I hate that technique. First of all, it's easy to counter if you catch it early on. Okay, if you see him setting up a can opener, you can counter it easily. But if you get caught in it, it's basically a spinal manipulation. So it's banned in most tournaments. And in training, it's not necessarily banned, but it's... It's a lot of school. I don't teach it because usually it's going to be the big strong guys. They're going to adopt it, and literally they can snap somebody in half. You could really, when you do the spinal manipulation, you could really hurt somebody's neck. This is where I've seen it at a convention. A big juice head guy, black belt, was training with a friend of mine who's another black belt, and he just put it on, and I looked at him. I was like, "What the." I'll bleed myself. So, just so you know, guys, I'm not a fan is an understatement. Okay? If anybody ever tries to can open me, I will arm lock them extra hard. Just so you know, because to me, can opener is a dirty technique. It's just there's no need for it. You can use it to open the guy's guard, but do not attempt to finish. So go ahead, you. So we're going to show the can opener twice. We're going to show it from this angle. We're going to show it from that angle, and then we move on to defense. So if you have closed guard, the guy grabs your head, stands up, and starts to crank. All right? Basically, guys, once you open your legs, before he has a chance to control your hips, you can lighten the severity of it significantly. So one more time. So he grabs your head, stands up, brings his knees so I cannot move side to side, and even now he brings his hips forward. Okay? So that's a can opener. I consider it a low level bullshit technique. Let's not mince words. All right? I know a lot of you guys have been open or possibly tapped to this, especially in the early stages, and especially if you train in an academy that or school that has kind of like this a little bit of a rough mentality or rough, we train for the street or whatever. But let's look at the counters. Right away, guys, as soon as you see somebody grabbing your head like this, trying to elbows in, you know what's happening. You have to move. You cannot wait. Do not wait for him to sort of start cradling your body. All right? So let's look at it. Like I said, as soon as I see it, I go into overdrive, and I will arm lock the guy extra hard. It hasn't happened to me in a long time. So as soon and this is done.
Tap,
How is that working out for you? Huh?
tap.
What are you tapping on now? I wasn't even squeezing you.
It's reflexes.
Reflex.
Before you break me.
So, again, as soon as you see somebody grabbing your head, first of all, guys, if you're in somebody's guard, in Enrique's position, you should not be grabbing their head. You can grab their head once you're in half guard. You can grab their head once you pass the guard. You can grab their head as you're cutting your knee through either one, but you should not be grabbing their head when you're in somebody's guard. So guys, let's look at it. So as soon as I'm gonna bring, because he wants to bring you like this towards him. So I'm gonna bring his head down, which slows the progression significantly. I'm gonna bring my legs a little bit out and up, cross my ankles, and guys, don't just try to break. Squeeze first. Tap, then you do the break. Okay? So let's look at it one more time, real slow. Guys, squeeze your knees, and now you can arch into it, but make sure you can continue to squeeze your thighs in. All right? Now, the one that I would do, it's a little faster for him to apply, is to just get out of that angle. So if he's standing up and he does it, I'm going to get out of that angle. Right now, guys, I will tap. I know I'm doing it extra hard on Enrique. He didn't mean it. It was somebody else's question. They go on the list. So if he's standing, they can apply the pressure quicker because now they can drive their hips forward much faster. They're already standing, so they can drive the hips forward. If somebody is on their knees, they have to stand up to really apply the pressure to your spine. So when they're standing, rather than try to do this, to try to bring my... So if they're standing, I'm just going to change the angle. How is that working out for you right now?
Really good, I think.
Oh, really? Oh. All right, guys. Do we have any questions on that so far?
First, Ryan D'Souza is asking, can we see that from another angle, please?
Which one? The first one or the second one?
The second one.
Okay.
From this one.
So this one again, guys, when he's standing, again, I still want to control his head. All right? And I just pivot. What do you think is if he withdraws his arm? I will reverse triangle him, and then I'll put him into oblivion. So.
Tap. Tap. Tap.
Feel free to do 3 taps or 4 taps to make sure he never ever attempts to do that to you again. So.
And Greg Broadwell says he's back to training, and he says, your daily instructionals have kept me focused, and the movement drills and workouts I've kept up with these past few months means I'll be back to my old self. He says his time was a little off, but mentally he felt sharp.
Nice. Yeah, that's what you should expect. Is your timing will be a little bit off, but you're going to be sharp mentally, and some of the things that you paid particular attention to or are most relevant to your game will sink into your body even though you may not have been physically doing them. You'll catch somebody with something and it's like, oh man, I did not realize. I only watched it. Yeah.
And he followed
Good
up.
to hear.
He followed up with, thanks for the quality content during this trying time.
Oh, yeah, it was my pleasure, guys. My privilege. So that brings me, guys, again to your, it's kind of homework, but guys, top 10 techniques, top 10 moments. All right, so once we finish, Enrique is going to put it together, but we're going to base it on your vote. So if you want to give us your top 10 each, that's fine. If you want to just give us one submission or one technique and one moment that you think should be in the top 10, that's fine too. If you want to give us 3, that's cool too. All right?
And Ryan D'Souza is asking, when a guest or someone new uses moves that are not allowed, what is the appropriate response in your opinion?
Submit them extra hard. Yes.
And
If it's one of my students who doesn't know any better, I will have a stern talk with them. If they know better, then they will go with somebody that will make sure they will understand, since they should have known better and they didn't, or they ignored it.
Jim Baseball is asking the top 10 in order.
No, just guys, if you want to, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tabulate the results. So there's some people that gave us, what they think should be in the top 10 in their mind, but just one episode or one specific move and one specific moment. That's fine, because that's gonna count as one vote. Other guys gave us 10, the full 10, what should be in the top 10, and they're gonna basically, that's like, each one of those has one vote. So the more, more voting power you want, to give us more, but you still have a vote if you submit just one move that particularly impacted your game and one top 10 moment, or if you want to give us 3, it's up to you. All right. So let's look at another scenario, guys, where you have somebody, and this is probably more common, where people try to headlock you into oblivion from your own guard. Okay, so they grab your head. Again, this is a province of particularly strong kind of guys, explosive guys. What they're looking for you to do is it can be actually, believe it or not, you can get caught where the head is just, you just get contorted into a weird position. Your head is getting crunched up. You can be submitted by this. It's not a clean technique. Again, I would consider it a rudimentary, somewhat beginner, athletic, strong beginner technique. I'm not a fan of it, but you need to know how to deal with it. Okay, so let's look at it. So Enrique's headlocking. Oh, you get nice. No, it's okay. It's okay. Do what you got to do. So he's driving it to my throat. So what I'm going to do, guys, I need to push my legs off to the side, and I'm basically pushing my hamstrings off his thighs. If he's driving real hard, you got to put a little bit of pepper into it. So I need to back him off to the point where I can put at least one of my foot on his hips. I have one foot on his hips now. Now I'm going to get the second one. And now I'm going to go extra hard because he did a technique that he shouldn't have done, and he did it extra hard because he was driving into my throat.
For the viewers.
If you're driving into my throat, they can't hear. But don't worry, I can deal.
Well, they can hear it in
Because
your
I got a
voice.
squeaky voice.
Yeah.
Once somebody drives into my throat, my voice changes. But that's okay, guys. I will, you know me, I'll make something happen, whatever you give me. Well, whatever he gives me.
John Grappler said, the bad visitor gets slept and is surrounded by everyone while we sing happy birthday because they should be reborn as a good partner.
Yeah, and then we pee on the fire. So let's look at it from another side, guys. This is actually very important because this can happen to you. You might be training for a while. You might be a good purple belt, and then you get a good wrestler comes in, and he does this to you, and you're like, he's not supposed to be doing this. But I don't know what to do. Or I think I know what to do, but he's too strong, and his base is too good, and he's driving in too hard. I can't make something happen. A long story short, one of two things is going to happen. Either you got to, the guy's stuck in your guard, you stuck having him in your guard without any movement whatsoever, 5-10 minutes, or you basically decide to make something happen, drop your hips, and he passes your guard. So this is very important. So if he's driving into your throat, guys, you got to back him off with your hips, all right? Now, if he's driving heavy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my hips slightly. I'm going to shoot my legs to the ceiling and then swing down. I just want to back him off. obviously you don't want to do it that slow. You want to do it hard and fast. Don't drop the leg because he's going to jump. I just need 1 foot on the hip. And then I'm going to, okay.
Tap. Tap. Tap, 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 tap.
So guys, the appropriate exchange rate for doing one of these, what would we call them, barbarian moves, is 3 to 1 in my mind. You know, right there? What happened?
Diabreed says, Coach, I really appreciate all these techniques. Your lessons are priceless for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. Yeah.
And John P is asking, where would you like for us to submit the top 10?
The best place is right here on YouTube, right in the comment section. That's the best place. You know, if they come via Facebook or Instagram, we try to, you know, somebody takes a snapshot and sends it to Enrique, but if you know, it's got a better chance of getting lost. If it's on YouTube, it's for sure going to be included in the voting tabulation.
Adolfo says, Udagatami's everywhere again for the win.
Yes.
And Caleb Throop says, exchange rate. I'm using that one.
Yeah. So, again, guys, you really should not be headlocking anybody if you're in their guard. It can happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen it, you know, sometimes if you don't react fast enough, you know, the guy can headlock you and crunch you up to the point where now you have no power in your hips and you get your guard passed and crap, what happened? You were just asleep. You cannot let it guys, we talked about it in one of the episodes. I don't know which one it was. Forget, but you know, even a white belt can pass your guard if you do nothing. You could be a elite black belt. If you do nothing, a white belt will pass your guard. If you just it's not like you can somehow sweep him by telepathy. You have to do something. You have to move. So anytime somebody grabs your head from inside your guard, move fast, move with haste.
Warren D'Souza says, I once had a high-level judo player do a paper cutter choke inside my guard. He tripoded up to put pressure on the carotids. The choke came off fast. Would it be the same defense?
Oh, yeah, there's another one. You know the one? Yeah. This is the same, guys. Again, my students know I do not teach submissions from inside somebody's guard. I hope this doesn't become like leg locks where this was viewed as a sort of like a
Everyone starts
why ignore submissions from inside the guard, the new system. So I view, you know, submissions from inside somebody's guard as kind of like, yeah, you have the Ezekiel, you know, you have sort of this. It's a sort of an old school choke. So I'm going to show it to you, but again, the response is the same. I've actually let the guy really commit to it. So I really I wouldn't recommend this, but almost wait for the choke to really be strong because now I know he's fully committed and that arm is fully extended.
Oh yeah.
Tap. Tap. Tap, tap, tap. Well, you're still like in defensive mode.
Of course I am. You have my arm fully extended.
Well, when you hit it, I have to show that you can still take it. So we'll do it one more time. So as soon as you see somebody doing this, like that like comes on, go. I do it nice this time.
Okay.
tap,
Stratos is asking, lots of respect. Thank you guys. Any tips on how to secure the hooks when taking the back?
I'm not a big fan of the hooks. They're overrated. They score points, but they're overrated. I think a lot better control is feet on the hips or back triangle. I don't personally use the back triangle too much because if the guy twists around and my foot or a leg gets caught underneath his body in a weird, you could actually feel pain in your legs. But I personally prefer feet on the hips to hooks. I feel they're much more controlling. The only thing is, the only reason I would ever put hooks in is to score points. Once I have that, then on the hips they go. All right. So now we're going to go over if he's tried to, Ezekiel. So he's tried to, again, guys, out of all these, the Ezekiel is the one that you need to worry about the most. Okay? So this is the one I got to worry about the most. So as soon as I see him swimming, oh, he's committing to the roll. He really committed to the roll, guys. I don't know if you saw this, right? Before you start feeling bad for him, I'm not going to break you. Just stop struggling. I hope you guys saw this. He really committed to the roll. Guys, if you missed the episode where question was, what do you do when the guy digs his elbow into your thigh? Adolfo or Piotr would certainly know which episode that was it. Watch what he does. He's digging in and it's not working, so he repositions his because he's baffled why I feel no pain. Except he did not know I felt pain. I just didn't show my feelings of pain. I just store them and then I use them as fuel when I go after him. Stored fuel. So let's look at again Ezekiel. You have to respect that, guys. Deal with the submission first to make sure I neutralize it, or at least make it very, very unlikely, because then his grip has changed to the point where it's not really gonna, there's no threat of submission to you. But you have to deal with it, and then we're gonna go after him. So let's look at it again. We're gonna look at it from this angle. You can commit to the roll. It's okay. I use pain. I use pain as fuel. Pain is my fuel, guys.
James Bartko is asking, what technique would you recommend for a larger guy to use?
From where?
I guess the same scenario.
Am I the larger guy on the bottom? Same. If you're a larger guy, you want to have a small guy's game. There's nothing worse than a big guy that has a small guy's game. There's nothing worse. Because he's comfortable on his back. He's comfortable from being on the bottom, in the guard. Any big guy that has a good guard will be also very good from the top, because when he gets to the top, he will attack. He's not afraid to wind up on the bottom. Usually it's the guys that are kind of using that very strong controlling game. They're petrified to screw this up when they're on top, and therefore they're too conservative, and their game does not develop in a way that it should. So if you're a big guy, I encourage you to play a lot of guard. I tell my students, especially the big guys, like, you play the guard, you play guard, you play guard. because it's easy. Even if they don't have to do things quite right, and they still wind up on top, back on the bottom. Play guard, guys. It's in the long run, this will benefit you, because any big guy that does not develop some sort of sophistication in their game and has a good understanding and good attacks from the guard, whether it's sweeps or submissions, by purple belt, they will usually stall out.
He says, I am 6'3" and 310.
310 kilo? No, wait,
No, pounds.
shit, 310 kilo.
That's
310 pounds. That's big. Make a good guard. Make a good guard. Have a good guard. Seriously, trust me on this. Trust me on this. We'll make your top game better. Because guess what? If you compete, there will be big boys in your division just like you. That's why at high level, you will see the big guys have sophisticated games. But if you go to what I would consider sort of a more national tournament or regional, you're going to see the big guys. There's only two things they know: this and this. Anything else, they drop in for an arm lock. They might as well just fall down and have the guy get on top. The other guy get on top. Now imagine if you can fix this. Try to play a finesse game. We have in my school we have a couple of big guys like Adam comes to mind, Bobby comes to mind, Anthony comes to mind. They're big and strong, but they have a good bottom game. And man, like I said, there's nothing worse than a guy with a technical guard, because he will sweep you, he will submit you. And when he gets on top, he was going to go for that submission, and he will get it.
Jim Taylor is asking, do you recommend the punch choke where you open the lapel and punch the other lapel into that space?
I do not recommend any submissions from somebody inside somebody's guard. You will get arm locked hard.
Even if it's a punch.
Yeah. Extra hard. Punch away. Punch away, Margaret. How's this looking for you? Again, guys, before you start feeling bad, you saw how my voice changed. Why do you think it changed?
They didn't see your voice change.
They heard my voice change. You may want to move around. So why do you think it changed, guys? Because Enrique committed to the role.
I do it for you guys.
So if he punch choke, would you like to do it again? I almost let him do that extra second where you could see that I'm starting to feel the pressure, and then I take it away from him with a hard arm lock.
He says from the guard player, so I guess from bottom.
No, I don't. It's hard to control his posture with a punch choke from the bottom. So forget when you punch if you punch choking somebody from the bottom. If you punch choking somebody from the bottom, you basically give him them posture. So if I was the guy on top, I'd just stand up and pass your guard. This really doesn't work. It might work temporarily because you got gravity on your side if you're doing it from the top. If the guy on the bottom can get through the pain and a little bit of choke to pivot and arm lock him. But from the top, if I do it from the bottom, it's basically you sort of, there's chokes that you want to keep his posture broken. Cross collar choke works way better. There's other chokes that you could do, but I don't really use the punch choke. I don't use it from the top. I don't use it from the bottom. That's not one of the ones that I learned it very early on, and way back in the early days of my jiu-jitsu career. But I don't know anybody that uses it really effectively.
Patrick Wilkins says, good morning. In your opinion, what would you like white belts at the academy to focus on? I've been focusing on mostly split guard, top, bottom, side control, and thank you in advance.
Yeah, I think when you start out, you want to focus on fundamentals, guys. Again, depends where you are in your development. You initially want to start, if you're on the bottom, just be comfortable in the bottom, guys. Yeah, sometimes the pressure is unbearable, but then you're probably doing something wrong. A lot of times it's just your head is on the mat. You're like, oh, I can't breathe. Pick up your head off the mat and suddenly, oh man, I can take this pressure. So, in the very early stages, one of the most important things you need to do is learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you cannot do that, how are you supposed to? Because at that point, the technique's not automatic to you yet. You still have to think about it and then you execute it. So you need to make sure that you're able to suck up the pressure and the pain up to a point where it's like, yeah, I know what to do. And then you can start to execute. You might be late executing it. You might be late because the guy changed, but that's the first step, is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Then you start to remember some of the techniques. You execute him, he moved, it didn't work, but now that's progression. All right? And from the and Patrick, from our classes, basically most of the fundamental classes we start, we teach a takedown, but then we go from the bottom. So usually I want people to, where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu truly shines against other martial arts is being on the bottom. People can be very dangerous from the bottom. What other martial art can you say that about? That people are very dangerous being underneath somebody. That's when it really, if it gets down to it, where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu truly is unique from any other martial art that I'm aware of, is being extremely dangerous from the bottom. So again, I want people to understand the fundamental reason, and that's why one of the why is it so? Because the guys that came up, that developed Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu were 140, 130 pound Brazilian guys. They're 130 pounds. You're gonna be on the bottom. So if you have a good bottom game, you will get to the top. It's easy to get on top, even on a big guy. So start on the bottom. Have good bottom cross-side escapes, good mount escape, good guard. And eventually we start to, as you progress, become better, then you start to supplement with, top control, top submissions, and then the whole game grows. Then you sort of broaden your horizons as far as submissions. You attack the whole body, legs, upper body, chokes, joint locks, and so forth.
Vagabond DBZ says, I went to every one of your seminars in Germany. Look forward to having you back.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And he's
my plan is I had to cancel all my camps. I canceled a camp in Bulgaria, in Czech Republic. And I was supposed to be initially I was supposed to be in Greece first. Then I was supposed to go to a few other places, but my plan is, assuming that the travel restrictions go away, that I'm going to be back in Germany in September. My plan is to visit Holland, Germany, and Czech this year. I would like to do before the weather turns. I don't like cold weather, so before weather turns too cold. But if it's later in the year, I will do later in the year. But my plan is to visit Netherlands, Germany, and Czech in September, October.
And he followed up with, I was the uke for Fox at a guillotine seminar, and he had to change ukes because I started to see stars.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
And one last thing before we close out. Elotsa Pierce says, one of the big lessons I tried to take from you since I was back training is the get your grips and go. And it really made a huge difference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That guys, that concept alone, if he has his grips, you got to go. If you wait longer, he's going to use those grips. If you get your grips and go, because if you don't use those grips, he will neutralize them, and now you're back to square one. All right, guys. So episode 94, 5 left.
5?
No numbers for you. 5, guys. Okay? So we'll see you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m.
Guys.
Keep the questions coming. Guys, we only have 5 more episodes, so if you have questions, guys, I prefer technical questions. I'm not going to answer questions about speculation who, would have won Godzilla versus King Kong, if they ever met up with each other in their prime, who would have won?
Say King Kong.
Ask me technical questions, please. Philosophy on training and things like that. I'm happy to answer those. The other ones will be left unanswered. Guys, like, share, subscribe, tag Mike lifted it up. Friend,
Stock.
unfo, what?
Stock. They have to come up with the top 10.
Stalk him. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 10:30. Stay well and be considerate. Use your brain, guys. Use your head, too. You can use it physically as well as for thinking. Brain you can only use for thinking.